He thought he was saving a child. But when her eyes opened, the sky itself turned toward him. In that moment, every weapon above, Earth paused, because the girl he healed was the daughter of the alien queen, leading the invasion. He called her Lyra, though he knew that wasn't her true name. When she woke in the dark shelter beneath the hospital, she trembled at the sound of his breathing. Her skin glowed faintly, reacting to warmth. She didn't speak, not in words, she sang. A soft harmonic hum filled the air, resonating against the metal walls, making the air vibrate. Elias realized she was echolocating, the song of a child who couldn't see but could feel the world through sound. He tried to feed her, and though she didn't understand, she accepted. Day after day, he repaired old machines, used leftover nanotech to stabilize her vitals, and began mapping her ocular structure. Her biology was alien, yet astonishingly similar to human design. Layers of organic crystal lined her corneas like mirrors, fused shut after exposure to some radiation unknown to him. Through trial and pain, Elias built new synthetic retinas, his masterpiece, never tested, never meant for another species. As the nights grew colder, he found himself speaking to her like a father would. "My daughter was about your age," he confessed one night, staring at the broken ceiling. "She was in Geneva when the fleets came." Lyra tilted her head, the song she made softening, as though she understood his sorrow. He didn't tell her about the nightmares, the flashes of light when the sky opened, the screams when the Queen's voice echoed across the frequencies, demanding Earth's surrender. He just kept working, soldering micro-nerves under trembling candlelight, hoping that somehow restoring this one child's sight could mean something in a universe that had gone blind to mercy. He called her Lyra, though he knew that wasn't her true name. When she woke in the dark shelter beneath the hospital, she trembled at the sound of his breathing. Her skin glowed faintly, reacting to warmth. She didn't speak, not in words, she sang. A soft harmonic hum filled the air, resonating against the metal walls, making the air vibrate. Elias realized she was echolocating, the song of a child who couldn't see but could feel the world through sound. He tried to feed her, and though she didn't understand, she accepted. Day after day, he repaired old machines, used leftover nanotech to stabilize her vitals, and began mapping her ocular structure. Her biology was alien, yet astonishingly similar to human design. Layers of organic crystal lined her corneas like mirrors, fused shut after exposure to some radiation unknown to him. Through trial and pain, Elias built new synthetic retinas, his masterpiece, never tested, never meant for another species. As the nights grew colder, he found himself speaking to her like a father would. "My daughter was about your age," he confessed one night, staring at the broken ceiling. "She was in Geneva when the fleets came." Lyra tilted her head, the song she made softening, as though she understood his sorrow. He didn't tell her about the nightmares, the flashes of light when the sky opened, the screams when the Queen's voice echoed across the frequencies, demanding Earth's surrender. He just kept working, soldering micro-nerves under trembling candlelight, hoping that somehow restoring this one child's sight could mean something in a universe that had gone blind to mercy. On the 26th day, he did it. He had spent every battery, every microcell, every fragment of medical AI left from the ruins of civilization. The retinal graft was ready. When he fitted the shimmering filaments into Lyra's eyes, she didn't resist. Her small hands trembled as he whispered, "You'll see soon, little one." Then with a deep breath, he activated the current. For a moment, nothing. Then a beam of pure light burst from her pupils, like dawn cutting through shadow. She gasped, a sound between fear and awe, and her fingers reached for his face. She blinked once, then twice, and her silver irises turned translucent, reflecting the world for the first time. When she finally spoke, her voice was fragile and musical. You have color." Elias laughed and cried at once. "Yes," he whispered, "that's called light." But before he could celebrate, the sky outside screamed. Dozens of alien ships broke formation, hovering motionless as if listening to something unseen. Lyra froze. Her eyes widened, not in confusion but recognition. "Mother," she whispered, her voice trembling like the hum of thunder before a storm. Within minutes, the clouds burned red. The invasion fleet, silent for weeks, began to move again. toward the ruins of New London. The Queen did not walk. She descended. The air bent around her form as she emerged from a halo of gravity light, her armor alive with constellations. Her voice, when it came, was felt more than heard, a resonance that shook bone and memory. Elias stood frozen at the edge of the ruins, Lyra's small hand clutching his coat. Soldiers of light surrounded them, their spears humming with impossible energy. The Queen's face, though alien, held a terrible grace. Her eyes were the same as Lyra's had been before, sealed in crystal, gleaming with sorrow and wrath. "Who touched my daughter?" The Queen's voice echoed, not in the air, but in Elias's mind. He stepped forward, trembling, but didn't kneel. "I saved her," he said. She was blind. Now she can see. For a moment, silence. The soldiers raised their weapons, but Lyra ran forward, arms outstretched. "Mother, he helped me!" she cried, her voice breaking. The Queen froze mid-motion. Her soldiers hesitated. Lyra reached her and placed small hands on her face. "I can see you now." Something ancient and fragile cracked inside that moment. The Queen's wrath faltered. Her gaze shifted toward Elias, unreadable. "You restored what even our science could not," she said. "Why?" Elias looked at her, not as a conqueror, but as a mother. "Because she was a child," he said. "Because my daughter never got the chance." The Queen's breath trembled. For the first time in the invasion, her fleet held fur. For the first time since the invasion began, the sky above Earth went silent. The fleets hovered, waiting for their Queen's command. In the wreckage below, the Queen stood before the human doctor who had saved her child. Lyra clung to her mother's leg, looking between them with eyes that shone like mirrors of dawn. Elias could feel the hum of their energy, the air, thick with tension, that could break the planet in half. But there was something else, too. The Queen was afraid. Not of him, but of what mercy might cost her. Her soldiers whispered in their radiant language, urging vengeance, reminding her of her fallen kin. Yet she kept her gaze locked on Elias, searching for deception and finding none. "You understand," she said slowly, "that by touching her, by altering her blood, you have broken the code of separation between our species." "I didn't alter her," Elias said quietly. "I healed her. There's a difference." Lyra reached for his hand and the Queen's breath hitched. Through their contact, the bioluminescent light of her daughter's body spread faintly to his, soft lines of silver, tracing the scars on his arm. "She carries your frequency now," the Queen whispered. "She is bound to you." A low rumble spread through the clouds. From orbit, other voices, other queens, spoke across the frequencies, demanding explanation. The Queen's choice in that moment would decide the fate of a species. Elias saw it in her trembling hands. She had lost as much as he had. War had made monsters of them both. When she turned her gaze upward, her eyes glowed like dying suns. "I will buy you time," she said. "Run!" Before Elias could speak, the Queen's hand lifted. A pulse of light swept through the ruins, cloaking him and Lyra in a veil of invisibility as the fleets descended once more. They fled through what remained of New London as the battle resumed above. The Queen's armies unleashed controlled fire, deliberately missing the ground where Elias and Lyra ran. She was shielding them, though her enemies, her own kind, would soon notice. Every explosion painted the sky in waves of color, and Lyra clung to Elias's back, her small voice trembling. "Why is she hurting them?" "She's trying to save us," Elias said, stumbling through the smoke. "She's trying to save everyone." They reached the riverbank, where his old evacuation shuttle lay, half buried in debris. He worked feverishly to power it, fingers bleeding, the air thick with static from orbital bombardments. Lyra's glow was fading. The connection between her and her mother was draining her energy. "She's calling you," Elias said softly. "You can feel her, can't you?" Lyra nodded weakly. "She says she's sorry." A brilliant column of light struck the horizon. The Queen's palace ship had entered the atmosphere, its radiant core ruptured. She was destroying it from within, a self-sacrifice, to stop the invasion's command network. Elias felt the pulse in his bones. The fleets above hesitated, confused, leaderless. Lyra wept silently as he launched the shuttle into the night sky. Through the viewport, the clouds below burned gold. In the distance, the Queen's light flickered, then vanished. When dawn finally came, it was quiet. The alien fleets hung motionless, their control systems severed. Without their queen, they no longer had purpose. Some retreated to orbit. Others landed peacefully, unarmed. Across the world, humanity stepped from the ruins, unsure whether to cheer or mourn. Elias and Lyra wandered among the broken cities, seeking survivors. The child barely spoke now. Her eyes, once silver, had dimmed to gray. But she was alive, and she carried within her something that neither human nor alien could yet name a resonance, a memory of unity. Elias transmitted medical blueprints to what remained of the human resistance, showing them how to heal the wounded using alien biocrystal. He taught them what the Queen had taught him in those last seconds through their mental link. That peace wasn't given, it was built. One evening, while fixing a transmitter near the coast, Lyra looked to the horizon and whispered, "She's still there." Elias frowned. "Who?" "The Queen. I can feel her." Like the light before sunrise. And for a moment the sea shimmered faintly, not with fire, but with a gentle golden hue, as if the dying queen had left behind one final promise. Years passed. The war ended not with victory, but with silence. Human and alien settlements grew side by side in the shadows of old cities. Elias became a myth, a doctor who healed the child that changed the stars. Lyra grew tall, her voice a melody that could calm storms. Wherever she walked, machines awakened. Plants grew through concrete, and light followed her footsteps. She carried her mother's code within her and the humanity of the man who saved her. She was, in every sense, a bridge. When Elias grew old, he often sat by the sea, staring at the sky that once burned with war. Lyra would sit beside him, humming softly, the same harmonic tone she had used when she was blind. "Do you miss her?" she asked one evening. "Every day," he replied. "But I see her in you." She smiled faintly. "Then you taught us both to see." That night, when Elias's heart finally stilled, the world did not weep. Instead, the horizon glowed with that same golden light, the Queen's echo. Lyra stood at the water's edge, tears mixing with the tide. "He restored sight to one child," she whispered. "But he taught two worlds to see." Above her, the remnants of the alien fleets formed a circle around Earth, no longer weapons but sentinels, and for the first time in centuries, the stars themselves seemed to bow, honoring the man who gave sight not just to eyes, but to hearts that had forgotten how to look beyond.